No, pull forward towards you. Yeah. Hi, good morning, everyone. Thank you for tuning into Viewpoint on 96.3 FM, and thank you to our listeners listening on the Mixlr app as well. Today here at the station, we're kicking off Beef Month. May is National Beef Month, and we are blessed to have two wonderful local beef producers who do play important roles in the beef industry. Joining them also is Betsy Pesh, who also plays a very important role as well. But we have Joan Harrison Cori Malone. I guess you can say a mother-daughter team we have here in the beef industry. So Joan is from Minear, and Cori lives right outside of Mackinac. So thank you very much to both of you for coming. Appreciate it.
Oh, we're happy to be here. Thanks for having us. Yes.
So tell our listeners, Joan, a little bit about your history and your family background.
I grew up on a traditional grain and livestock farm. We had beef cattle, hogs, chickens, sheep, and in addition to soybeans, corn, and alfalfa. And I think the fourth generation, and I've always had beef cattle. Always. I always enjoyed them. That was my species of choice. And my dad, when I was young, bought some additional ground so we could increase the herd. And I just always enjoyed the cattle, from calving to everything about it. Weaning and feeding out. We fed our cattle out. And I just always enjoyed it. I married a man who let me continue my enjoyment. And we've increased the herd. My dad retired. We took the ground and we increased the herd. And when we had children, started getting the kids involved with the cattle. Our daughter, Cori, really took a liking to them, and we started showing cattle some. I had done a little when I was young, but as Cori grew up, she wanted to do more, so we started showing at regional breed shows and national shows, and just really enjoyed it. And she went to college in Oklahoma, came back to the farm, and she and her husband are now a very important part of the cattle operation. And she has a 4-year-old little girl who loves the cattle as much as she does. So that's a little bit of the background. I'm a former ag teacher. That's how I got to know Betsy Pesh, and she and I have a good friendship through the years. So that's a little on our background.
Mm-hmm. So wonderful. Cori, a little bit about you then.
Yeah, I don't want to say, it was in my blood to love beef cattle, but it really was. In fact, I remember Mom and Dad would always tell stories when I was young, before I could even read. My favorite thing to do of an evening in the summer was to go drive out and check cows with them, and they said that they always loved how I could point out what cow was what. I could say, oh, that's cow 24, or give a name, and I couldn't even read, and so they were always just amazed by that, and I remember that's one of my favorite childhood memories. I would say as I grew up, through my teenage years, 4-H, FFA, showing through our breed association definitely helped to solidify that love of beef cattle. We had, at that time, still had some hogs and some sheep on Grandma and Grandpa's farm, but it was always the cattle that I enjoyed the most. I think I got that from my mom, and I always really appreciated, and maybe I didn't appreciate it at the time, but I very much appreciate it now, how it wasn't super traditional for your mom to be so involved on the farm. Farm wives have always played a huge role on the farm, but not so much of a hands-on role as my mom did. My mom did all the artificial insemination of our cows. She taught me that. She taught me, what you did when a calf was born. She taught me how to feed them. She taught me, proper care of the land. And so I always, I think I took that for granted at the time, that I had a strong female showing me how to be a leader in the beef industry. I did leave to go away to college. I thought, who would want to live in Illinois for the rest of their life when I was in high school, like every other person? And I loved it. I loved my time in Stillwater, Oklahoma, where the cows outnumber the people. But I think I always knew I wanted to come back home to the family farm. So I was fortunate. I started grad school at Illinois State University. And I met my husband at the Illinois State Fair. We love to tell that story. We got married right there in our cow pasture because he loves beef cattle just as much as I do. It's really fun to be married to someone who you can bounce ideas off of as far as, oh, what should we breed this cow to, and that kind of thing. And our poor daughter, I hope she loves cows because
it's inevitable.
She might not, have any other choice, but she seems to. I pick her up from school every day, and we go to the barn, and she has certain ones that she has to check on, and she has to feed. She can't even lift a feed bucket. It still weighs more than she does, but she has certain ones that she has to feed and that kind of thing. And so now we're kind of to the point where we're trying to make really smart, sustainable choices for our farm, because when you bring that next generation in, I think you really do think about the future and where is this headed, and I guess trying to leave it as best as we possibly can for them. And so that's kind of the direction we're in now. We're hoping she wants to do 4-H and FFA. We're not going to force it on her, but I think she will. So she's got a show heifer that she's going to show this year, and she actually has a lamb that she's going to show this year. So that's completely out of our wheelhouse, but we're very excited for this summer.
Wonderful. That's great. You touched base on, you went to ISU. What is your role there?
Yeah, I grew up with a mom who was an ag teacher, and I'm sitting here with another ag teacher looking right at me. And I went to graduate school, and I said, I don't know exactly where I want to be in the ag industry, but I said I don't want to be a teacher because I grew up, watching ag teachers. And I went to grad school at ISU, and my boss at the time, Dr. Rob Reichert, he said, well, Cori, how about you teach this lab for us while you're a grad student? And I said, I'll try. I don't think I'll be very good at it, but I'll teach this animal science lab. And I tell you what, I found my passion right there. I loved teaching college-age students about the industry that I was so passionate about. And so fortunately for me, it kind of turned into a full-time job at ISU. I started as an animal science instructor, and I have since moved into a new role of academic advisor, where I work with students a little differently, but still help them pursue their goal of working in the animal science industry. So,
and ISU, some folks, not to kind of go off base topic here, but as you're driving, north of Bloomington on 55, there's the ISU farm there on the west side of the road. So what all do they do there at the farm?
Absolutely. So at our ISU farm, it's about 600 acres in size. A lot of that's in row crops, and so they're doing a lot of research in terms of cover crops and those types of things. The part I'm more active with is, of course, the animal side. They have beef cattle. They have a Scimitar Angus cross cow herd. They have sheep and also hogs there. And so what I really love about our students at ISU is, truthfully, most of them do not come from a farm background, but they want to be involved in the animal industry. And I can't even say that most come saying, oh, I want to work with cows someday. But our faculty are so talented and believe in hands-on instruction, and those students get so passionate. And I think that says a lot when someone maybe didn't grow up in the industry. I was lucky. I grew up with beef cattle. I love beef cattle. I intend to do it the rest of my life. But I think it says a lot when someone says, hey, I haven't been a part of this, but I want to be a part of the future of it. And so I really love that with our students when they come to us and they say, we want the experience. We want to learn how to work with hogs. We want to learn how to work with cattle. And our faculty do that at ISU. And I believe that we've got some real industry changers that leave Illinois State University and go on to lead really successful careers in the animal industry. So
that's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's neat.
Absolutely.
So, Joan, your position with Illinois Beef Association is somewhat of a newer role and position, if you want to say.
It is, and I thoroughly enjoy it. I was asked to be on the Board of Governors 2 years ago, and I said, okay, and it has been a learning experience. I am on the checkoff side, which we try to educate consumers about how we're using our checkoff dollars. And I enjoy that. Different ways. I've gone and helped with a few events out in the public. I have learned that chili cook-offs are a real serious business. I've helped with a few of those, and that has been so much fun, educational, talking to these people and talking about beef and things really interesting. I help at the Ribeye Corral during State Fair. Another wonderful experience about getting out in the public, talking to consumers about beef and the different cuts, because people will ask, well, what's the difference between the brisket sandwich and the ribeye sandwich? So, you get to educate people that way. I've learned so much from being on the board. I have a lot to learn yet, but I really have a good feeling for the future of beef in this state. We've got some passionate producers, and it's just a very enjoyable experience.
And you were also there at Farm Progress Show as well.
We were.
So, that was huge. You were reaching a lot of people there.
We were giving out free samples of brisket, and that was a very busy day. I don't know how many people we served that day, but I was a little tired at the end of that day. And the brisket we served was so delicious that people kept coming back and back. So any time I can help educate people about beef and the good qualities of it, the nutrition part of it, I'm very happy.
Wonderful. Well, we're going to take a quick time out and dive more into the beef industry here with Cori, Joan, and Betsy. And we'll be back in a few minutes. Thank you for tuning in. Hi, thank you for tuning in to Viewpoint on 96.3 FM WLCN. If you have any questions, we do welcome callers to call in and ask away. Joan is eager to answer your questions that you have.
Sure.
217-648-5510. We do have Betsy Pesh here in the studio if you have a question for Mrs. Pesh. Some of us go by, so I know you by. But anyway, so again, 217-648-5510. Touching base, it seems like with social media, producers have somewhat started to embrace it, I guess you can say, to market and be more diversified. Have you guys noticed a change in that at all or not? Have they become more savvy? Are they reaching out to IBA saying we need help? What are you guys noticing and seeing the change?
I'm waiting to watch, see if Mom answers this, because she's on Facebook and social media far more than I ever am. So I'm very interested to hear her answer for this. Do you want me to take it or do you want to roll, Mom?
Let me try.
Okay.
All right.
Didn't mean to put you on the spot.
No,
but,
I am not tech savvy by any means, but if you go to the IBA website, if you go to Beef, It's What's for Dinner, I'm just amazed at the information that they have out there that answers questions, that helps people through anything from how to cook beef to cuts of beef to recipes to how these cattle are raised and taken care of. It's very good. As far as us personally, we do sell freezer beef, and I let Cori do this, but we'll put out ads on Facebook or whatever, and the responses we get, it's really good. And, if you've got a good product, people will come back and things. And I just think it has helped us. I think it helps the beef industry as a whole. What do you think?
Yeah, I've really enjoyed kind of watching things take off on social media. I follow several, I don't know if we would call them influencers of the beef industry, but I think the one thing, we're here trying to help educate consumers on what we do, and I think that we can all agree that we're all just trying to feed our families a safe and healthy product. And so I've really loved being able to connect with consumers over beef recipes, and I laugh because I'm terrible in the kitchen. I mean, we've got the expert in the kitchen sitting next to me. I can go make a cattle feed ration. I cannot making food for my family is the hardest thing I have to do every single night, and my husband's probably laughing right now thinking I make dinner most nights, Cori, and he's right. But I love, you see someone on social media, and they're sharing a recipe with you and talking about what they do on their family farm throughout the day, and I just love that we're using that connecting point of wanting to feed our families something safe, healthy, nutritious. And those have been really fun to watch and hear other people's stories. It's actually one thing that we've kind of, we got to attend the National Cattlemen's Conference, CattleCon, in Orlando, Florida in February this year. And it's one thing that we said we wanted to do a better job of telling the story of our farm. There's so many things that we do on a daily basis that we take for granted and expect everyone to know. And the fact of the matter is, the one most recently we talk about is the word AI. It means something totally different to us than it does to most of the public. And so it's one thing that we have kind of set a goal for ourselves this year to do a little bit better job of sharing what we do, because it's everyone in the beef industry's responsibility to share what we do. We believe in what we do. Our cattle are part of our family, and so it's our responsibility to share that with consumers so that they know that. So
touching base on COVID, do you think we learned something from COVID as beef producers, how to market ourselves better or not, or has it hindered us? Has it set us back a little? What do you see? I mean, we're going on 4 years out from COVID. What do you think we can take away from something like that, the good, the bad, and the ugly? So, in learning from that.
I watched, coming about probably 6 months after, COVID started, I watched a Zoom that was talking about the beef industry, and they said people had two main questions during COVID. Where's my food? And where's my toilet paper? And so I thought, oh man, that is so true. I think what it did was it made people really pay attention to where their food is coming from. And so for us, it did increase our local beef business. We had people reaching out wanting to buy beef product, I guess, kind of in larger quantities and that kind of thing. And so I think that's great. As you want to know more, I believe that all beef in the United States, raised in the United States, is safe and it's healthy. But I love it if consumers want to connect with us. They want to know where their beef is coming from. They want to know that it was responsibly raised. We've really enjoyed that opportunity to connect with people in our community. And I don't really want to thank COVID for anything, but if I have something to thank COVID for, I guess it's probably that we were able to connect more. People were wanting to get to know more local producers and that kind of thing.
That is very true. We did have people reach out to us about purchasing freezer beef, but even our cattle are on a main county road, and the people that go by that road all the time, a lot of them know us. And they will text me, or they will call me, or they would, on Facebook, they'll say, well, I saw this out in the pasture. What is this? Or even as basic as, that one calf is really cute out there, and it's brown and white, and, what is that and stuff. And it's like, it just amazes me how much people pay attention and how much the texting and all the social media has just made it easier to communicate with people. And again, it's about educating them and answering their questions, which we're more than happy to do. So it's been quite an experience with COVID and everything, but again, enjoyable.
For us, it was really great, that we had the farm to kind of disappear to when we had to social distance. You had to social distance from people, but you didn't have to from cattle, so that was a good thing for us. So
my husband worked from home during that time, and there were a lot of days I was just real happy to go down to the barn.
You escaped.
I escaped, yes. So,
Cori, you do wear another hat. You wear many hats. Daughter, mom, wife, working at ISU. Another hat that you do wear, you work with the Illinois Beef Expo.
Yeah.
And tell us a little bit about that. And how that came to
that
play.
is one of my favorite parts of the year. So I was fortunate 4 or 5 years to go to, I was asked to lead the junior show of the Illinois Beef Expo, and it's supported by a really great board of directors that support, so I can't take hardly any credit for it. But once a year in February, every year, we bring over 500 junior exhibitors to the state fairgrounds. We had over 800 or around 800 head exhibited this year, and we bring them together for a long weekend of junior activities and not just junior activities to support the beef industry, but of course I'm on the junior side of it. We've got a livestock judging contest, we've got a skill-a-thon contest, there's scholarships awarded, there's Illinois Beef Association points awarded, and so it's really great to get these kids together who work so hard on their beef projects and basically just celebrate them all weekend. It takes a lot of hard work from a lot of people. We have the best team that pulls off the Illinois Beef Expo. Two of them are kind of sitting right here with me. But it's fun to see this team come together just to celebrate the hard work of these kids who we know are going to go on and be the future of the beef industry.
So your numbers have increased by entries or by kids or by both?
Yeah,
for
so
showing?
Since I took over, both have taken over. Number of juniors showing, and then also the number of head. We a few years ago expanded. Well, I guess during COVID, expanded it to open it to out-of-state cattle as well. So we typically draw in about 25 to 30 head of out-of-state cattle from juniors, and so that's really fun to bring in. Usually it's Indiana, Iowa, Wisconsin exhibitors from those states that come to exhibit their cattle. So it's fun, to bring people from out of state to come highlight the Illinois beef industry.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. What things are you seeing to possibly change for next year? Do you want to add, or do you want to, divulge that right now or not, or trying to work on?
Well, I think we're just looking at the best problem possible is that we're almost too big for where the space we're operating out of now. So we're always looking for other places on the Illinois State Fairgrounds, as they continue to renovate and make that fairgrounds really look great and be super functional. We are constantly looking at other areas to maybe expand into, and so, like I said, we have the best kind of problem ever. We're almost too big for the facility that we're operating out of. We're in the livestock center, and so I think we're constantly just looking for ways to make it flow, be even more functional. We were wanting to shorten up the schedule a little bit. A couple years ago, we were showing pretty late at night, and so, like I said, a great problem, and we kind of solved that this year, and we grew even more. So, like I said, it's a very good problem.
Possibly with the renovations going on at the Coliseum, do you think that's a possible dream come true or not, or goal to be there or not, or what are you thinking of going to?
I think we are open to anything. The Coliseum is looking great, and like I said, we're open to anything and figuring out how then all the other pieces of the Beef Expo might work around that. I do think that the board of directors, I'm going to loop them in here, have a very tough decision to make as we move into looking at our 2025 schedule. I can't believe I'm saying 2025.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So wonderful. Betsy, is there anything you would like to add? Putting you on the spot, I apologize, but what would you like to add to anything that we've discussed today?
Okay, so I'm also on the Board of Governors with the Illinois Beef Association. I'm on the policy side, which we do a lot of I guess you'd say, elbowing with legislators and looking at policies in terms of how that affects the beef industry. Just this past week, our state president, Dave Duzan, and our executive vice president, Josh St. Peters, was out in Washington, D.C. They met with a lot of Illinois legislators and looking at, ways that we can better the beef industry, not only nationally, but for Illinois as well. So I had the opportunity, Joan and I had the opportunity back in March. It was Ag Day at the state capitol. So Joan and I and a couple others met with various legislators and just, visited with them, let them know some of our concerns with the beef industry or some of the positive things that are going on. And so from my perspective on the policy side, this is my, my claim to fame, I guess you'd say, is that I'm always looking at, how we can make things better for the beef industry here in Illinois.
Wonderful.
Something else I was talking to you earlier that promoting, but towards the end of May, there is a tour for Illinois Beef Juniors that's going to be over in the Macomb area. As I tell people, I'm a jack of all trades, master of nothing, so I'm going to be driving the bus over there. And but we're going to visit a veterinary clinic, a feed mill, the Western Illinois Ag program over there.
A couple of cattle producers.
Cattle producers
too,
as well. So this is open to high school, juniors, all the way up to, I think, age 21. We did this last year as well, and it's just a great experience for these young people to see the different aspects that affect the beef industry.
Right, and you're also going to be seeing Fairview Sale Barn, too, I believe, and touring there.
Sale Barn as well.
So from start to finish, basically, you know, on this tour of life cycle of cattle, basically, you know, from beef producers to...
So just echoing what Cori said, we do a lot for the juniors. We've got a staff down at our office that is really focused on juniors, and because, as we know, that's the next generation that's coming up, that we have to get them educated, get them excited about raising beef cattle.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Well, I appreciate all three of you women. You guys are wonderful ladies, wonderful cattlemen, and very important to the beef industry. I don't think you guys give yourselves enough kudos, but you do. All three of you are very important to all of us, and we greatly appreciate it. And what a better way, I can't think of a better way, seriously, to kick off National Beef Month is May, and we got some different things and exciting things coming up here at the station, too. So, folks, thank you for tuning into Viewpoint on 96.3 FM. The Lord and weather willing, we'll be back next week.